Welcome. This time we check how to install RallySimFans plugin with using the torrent. First, we navigate to the RallySimFans.hu and we choose download. And here we have these same instructions in written form. And first thing to do is downloading the RSF installer files, torrent file. In this case, it's currently v3, but this might change in the future, but method will be same. So here we found the torrent file, and we click that to download, and now it's downloaded. Next up, we need a torrent client software, which can open that torrent files and download them. And RallySimFans recommends qBittorrent app, which is totally free and open source and also safe. But you can also use any other software that can open that torrent files. And it can be found from qBittorrent.org. Right, now we have opened the qBittorrent.org website, and we have the download here, and most of you will probably be using a Windows platform, so we can choose download qBittorrent and whatever version is mentioned in here. Next up, we will end up to the fosshub.com, which is the platform to download qBittorrent. And you can choose the first option from here, so Windows x64. And we download that. And next up, we open up the qBittorrent setup. And we hit run. And yes, we trust this. And then we can choose the language. It chooses the language by default based on your operating system language. But in this example, let's use English and press OK. Then next. And we accept these terms. Next. And here you can choose if you want to create a desktop shortcut, start menu shortcut, or keep qBittorrent starting on a Windows startup. And you can choose here open .torrent files in qBittorrent, so it will automatically choose qBittorrent as a default software for torrent files. Also good to add the Windows firewall rule, which avoids getting issues with the connection. Then we hit the next. And then you can choose the folder where you want to install this. By default, it's program files in C. So that's fine for us. We hit install. Now it will install this, and this will take some time. Okay, now it's finished, and there's already launch qBittorrent enabled. So we hit finish, and it will open up this. All right. The next step, as it's in here, we open up the torrent file we downloaded, so this, in a qBittorrent app. We hit add torrent file, and in this case it's in my downloads folder, but you might have downloaded to the other folder, so you have to find that out. We select this, open, and now it will pick up these files. And first we choose save at folder, which means that these installation files will be downloaded to whatever destination you set here. By default, it's in my personal downloads folder, so C uses your name /downloads. And we can use this in this example, but you can also set this to some other folder. It can be wherever you want. And make sure there's a start torrent selected so it will automatically start once we hit OK. And the current torrent size is 26.6 gigabytes, and in the future it might be a bigger, and it might take some time depending about your connection and download speed, but generally it comes through quite fast. And while we are waiting to download to finish, I can tell you a little more about the size of the game. So as we can see here, this torrent file is 26.6 gigabytes. This means that the downloadable size through torrent is this, but you might get a little more through the RallySimFans installer. And that's not all, because these are compressed files and they will be extracted during the installation process later. The total size is up to 120 gigabytes or even more. So be aware of that. If you're low on disk space, then you have options to drop out some content, and you can do already this in a torrent page. You can select a torrent, click content, and then we have these maps files here. We have tons of them here. And these are all community-made maps or stages, and they take the most of the space in this installation. So from here, you can deselect these maps folders if you are planning to do a smaller installation. But if you're doing the full installation, then do not deselect. Just download all of these files. This will save you up some space, and you can choose the minimal installation option in installer, and that will be under 10 gigabytes. All right. Once you have finished downloading, and we're at the step 7, so it's 100% complete, as it shows up in here, we can move to the next step, which is to download RallySimFans installer app, which can be found below the torrent. The current version is v1.46.0, but in the future this will change. So we download this, and next we hit open, and it will ask again if we want to run this unknown software, and we hit run. And now it will ask if we want the software to make changes, and yes. And then you can choose the language here. We use the English. Hit OK. Then we got this info screen here with update logs and some credits at the bottom. And next up, we just hit next. All right, then we come to the point where we choose the RSF destination folder. So you set the folder path here where the game will be installed. And pay attention, do not use these folders because they are Windows system folders, which can cause permission issues. So do not use program files or users or any of these Windows default folders. You can either write the folder path here. So let's say you want to install the C, you can write it here, and then you pick the folder name which you will use. Let's use Richard Burns Rally. Or you can simply press browse, choose the drive, OK, and then write the folder name here. But just for the clarity and to avoid problems, add this or some other folder name, so it will be installed nicely. But in my case, I don't have space in C, so I will install it to iDrive. So it will be i/Richard Burns Rally. All right, next step will be selecting the RSF installer files folder. And this is the folder you just downloaded with the torrent. And here we enter the folder path where it's located. So with the browse, and in our case it was in C, users, my name, downloads, and RSF installer files. Now we hit OK. And the error message from here disappeared. But if you have a wrong path or whatever, it's not finding the correct files, then it will show the red text in here. So make sure to pick the right folder, and now we can click next. All right, then we choose the installation type. By default, it's a full installation, which is recommended. It comes with the base game, original maps, custom maps, so all the community made stages, and also required an additional plugins and lots of other stuff, which is also recommended for the best experience. Other option is the minimal installation. That comes only with the base game, original maps, and all the required add-on plugins to run the game. But use only this if you are low on space. And as I earlier said, you can already drop out the custom maps during the torrent process. But yes, we will use the full installation because we want the best possible experience. Then we hit the next. And now we choose the server. It doesn't matter which one you pick, both have the same files. Download speeds might vary a bit depending about your location. The VDOS option, that will work fine for most people and will be quite fast. But in some cases, if you experience slow download speeds or whatever, then you might want to try the other one. But let's go with the primary one and hit next. All right. Then we come to the menu with the components. And here we have, as this is a full installation, we have all the options already selected, or not quite all, but all the needed and which are part of the full installation. If you are using VR, then you might want to check the virtual reality. And currently we have two options. We have the newer Open RBR VR plugin, which is the recommended one. But there's also the other option, RBR VR, the original version. But they are very small, so it's fine to install them both. So you can just click here and select them as well. And then we have tons of stages in here. These are all the custom stages. If you pick the minimal installation, then these won't be selected. And at the very bottom, we have test maps and offline maps. These are not chosen automatically, but you can choose them in this process, or you can pick them later by rerunning the installer. These are just test maps are kind of where you can test the car or maybe take some pictures. Totally optional. And then we have offline maps, which are, well, not used in online races. And the quality is, well, might be a bit questionable. So definitely not needed. but you can of course pick these two if you want all. But let's leave them out for this installation now. And then we hit next. And now it says when we pick the RBR VR, only install the RBR VR or open RBR VR plugin if you have VR virtual reality hardware. And yes, we want to install, or if you don't want, then hit no. Okay, then we have the other additional stuff here I will explain shortly. So we have the RBR HUD, which is recommended. It will make your in-car dashes work. So it will be a working dash, which wasn't the case in original RBR. Then we have some RallySimFans updates. I might recommend installing all of them. Maybe the clouds is something that people are 50-50. But otherwise, you will get some upgraded textures and, well, better particles and whatever. And then we have also car and track preview images. You can choose these as well. And then we have some splash screens, which are the loading screen images and whatever. Then you already can set your screen resolution based on your screen's resolution, but this can be also changed later. And then we have some required Microsoft stuff. So we have DirectX 9 and C and C++ runtime libraries, plus .NET Core Desktop Runtime. Most of the new systems should have these by default, or they have come with the updates. But you might want to check these just in case to avoid potential problems. But in this case, we let them deselected. But yeah, select these if you're not sure. And then you can choose to create the desktop shortcut for the game and for the RallySimFans launcher, which is already selected. And I would recommend this, so you will find the launcher easily and you can change the settings there and launch the game from there. All right, that's all. And remember that all of these can be installed later. So if you're not sure what you want, you can check these later. Next. Okay, now it shows what we have selected in here. We have lots of stuff. Then we hit install. And this will take now some time. It's extracting those files which are downloaded with torrent, but it also will download some stuff that isn't included in torrent. So you will get some amount of download during this process. Depending which version it will be when you're installing, it might be from 1 gigabyte to 10 gigabytes maybe. But yeah, definitely not that much as the torrent. All right, now it's downloading, and as said earlier, it will download missing files that were not part of the torrent. And it can be something from the 1 gigabytes, 10 gigabytes about, depending a bit about which version or when you will install this. For example, here we are downloading newer map files, which were not part of the torrent. And what comes to download speed, it's not as fast as torrent usually, but should be decent. And if you're experiencing any slow speeds or issues, then you have probably something in antivirus or firewall on router settings or whatever that can block the connection to the download server. In that case, you might want to check some tips from the RallySimFans Discord. You can actually join from here on our website. And there's a problem solving channel, and there will be instructions what to do if the installer is failing to download stuff or it has very slow speed. And actually, one thing I could quickly show about case if you have already problems opening the installer. Right. So in some cases, it might be that Windows is being sensitive and it's not letting you open the installer. So if you would double left click, nothing would happen or you get some error. In that case, you want to check that it's not blocked, and you can do that by right clicking the installer, then choose properties. And if it would be blocked, in here, there would be a unblock checkbox. You would check that and hit OK. And now it should work. And if it's still not working, then you might want to try running it as an admin. So right click again and run as administrator. And then it will ask again if you want to do the changes, and you click yes. All right, now it's an installation process. So it's extracting files that we have downloaded with the torrent and through the servers. And this uses your CPU to extract those files, which means that your PC might be a little slower now because the resources it takes, it's away from the other software. So to make it happen as fast as possible, just let it install in peace and don't do too much other stuff that takes too much resources. And this will take some time depending about the CPU and your PC specs in overall, but should be over in some minutes. All right, as we can see here, the installation process is done, and now it automatically chooses the checkbox for run RallySimFans launcher, and that is for to do at first before running the game. So we click finish, and now in a few seconds it will open up the launcher like this. And now you get the welcome screen. This is actually now in Finnish, or part of it, because that's my system language. So if your system language is English or whatever else, then it will be on that language if available. But yeah, these texts seem to be in English. So let's go on. Here we have some basic information about RallySimFans and RBR and how things work. We have online stuff explained. And I really recommend you to check these because we see a lot of people messing up their first online rallies because they don't know how the system works. So make sure to check these and get familiar with the concept of legs and super rally, which is explained in here. Then we have more about the hot lap, which is a time trial based online racing mode. And then we have a general rules for the plugin and for the community stuff. And then we have more about the community. We have the Discord, as mentioned before. I really recommend joining that to get help in case needed and to have a fun with us. Then we have also Instagram, which will be updated mostly when the new updates come, but sometimes also some other stuff. And then there's a Facebook page which isn't that active as said here as well. And then we have stuff about updates. They are explained in here. I won't get too much into those as this system might change in the near future. And then we have a bit more about the hotkeys you have in game. This shows up the stuff you can do in game, and yeah. And then we have the in-game rally menus explained, what different colors and things mean there. And then we have the base node options, or the basically anything we have here in HUD basically explained. And you can click here to do not show again and close. And you can enter, let's actually change the language here. Now it's in English, but it's here in tips and docs and open welcome tips if you want to recheck those. And so those things are also available on our Discord, so you will find them from there. And yeah, I'll quickly show you through the launcher. And here you can enter your login details and enable the auto logon, which means when you register to our site, you enter those details here, so it will automatically log you in when this is chosen. And then we have the game menu options, which are there by default, so it will auto navigate to RSF plugin, and it will also show the RSF plugin in game main menu. And Fmod car sounds are also enabled by default. This makes the realistic car sounds available, which is great bonus. Then we have base node stuff, replays, and those are not really something to worry about yet. So maybe I'll explain that later in some other video. And you can also get help regarding these from the Discord as well. But this is something you might want to check. First off, the resolution. You can choose the resolution from the list, or you can choose a custom and enter your own resolution as you want. But pay attention that do not choose a resolution higher than your monitor's native resolution. So if I have a 2K monitor like here, I can't go there, otherwise it will give an error. And then a full screen mode, we have different options: normal and DirectX 9 and window. Window is the default. Normal is probably the best one if you don't want the window borders. And then you can have a graphics modes, which will help getting a better FPS and also allow using anti-aliasing modes. And also one thing to mention is that when you take your mouse over the feature in launcher, it will give you a tooltip to explain more. So I won't be going through all of these more in detail. And here you can choose the monitor you want to use for the RBR window, screenshot format. And one thing that is quite important is using the vertical sync, aka VSync. This keeps the FPS matching your monitor's refresh rate. And this will avoid getting issues with particles and such. If you have this disabled or you don't have any other method enabled to limit your FPS, then you might see some graphical bugs. So make sure to have some way to sync the FPS or limit it. And then you can choose different graphics options. If you have any modern system, it should run pretty much all of these on high, at least the render quality. Then again, on a racing mode, you might want to have particles off to avoid lower FPS. Also, cubic environment maps, they are also good to have off to save some FPS. And also car shadows are not really needed, as if you drive in car from the in-car view, then you really don't see any shadows. But you can then have them on in replay mode. And there we have the VR settings. I'm not gonna show more detail about these, but you will find more information about these in a Discord as well. So yeah, pretty much main things. So check your resolution, maybe change your full screen mode to normal, and maybe enable the graphics mode, and make sure to check the VSync or some other method to limit your FPS, and then check these if it feels like your FPS is too low. All right, and then we have the cockpit and dashboard. Here we have very much different options. Actually, it doesn't show everything, so you might want to check the advanced options. Now it shows, for example, overrides the cockpit FOV cam value. So in here, you can change your FOV so it's applied for all the cars. Otherwise, you have to adjust that per car, but of course, it's good to have the same FOV for all cars and then just adjust the camera view per car. And here you can change some units and default race camera, so which camera mode will be applied by default when entering the car. But yeah, these are, you can just drive and see how things look. So no need to pay too much attention about these yet. And then we have the controls tab. Here we have different stuff to adjust the force feedback, and also some inverted modes. If you have issues that when you bind your throttle, for example, and it's showing a full input when not touching the throttle pedal, then you should check this throttle pedal inverted option and then apply changes. And then it will be inverted and it works like it should. Then we have the force feedback stuff, as said, and this is also explained in the tooltips when you take your mouse over the option. And there's also more information about these in Discord. And some wheels might need force feedback compatibility mode, so you might choose that in case your FFP is not working. There are the models, for example, Moza and SimMagic require one. So you can choose that, then press activate, and it will install the Windows registry file, which will make the force feedback work in RBR. And you can also deactivate it from here. But yeah, most of the popular wheels work straight out of the box without any big adjustments. And then there's also this adjust steering wheel range per car feature, which is similar as soft lock. So it will adjust the steering range per car, and that value is set per car under my cars, where you can adjust that as well. So if you want to use different steering range for four-wheel drive cars and different range for rear-wheel drive cars, just like in real life, then you can enable this. And this is supported by most of the wheel brands in the market. You can check the compatibility chart from here under the details. And yeah, that's about it. And yeah, pretty much. Actually, I could show this. Now when we don't have any cars here, it means that we haven't driven any cars or we haven't downloaded the cars yet. So cars will get downloaded once you drive them or you download them in game through the menu. So don't be confused about this. They will show up here once you drive them. This is just to save the space so you don't have to download all the cars at once. Yep, that's pretty much it. And if there are any questions about installation process or any problems you encounter during the launch or installation, then I think the Discord is the best place to get help for that. So as said earlier, you can join the Discord from here, and there's a good amount of knowledge already documented, so you should check those first, and then you can use the problem forum if you have any problems that you can solve by yourself. And I think it was also mentioned in here. Yeah, if RBR crashes on launch, then add our Richard Burns Rally sse.exe as an exception in Windows EEP settings, and also the folder exception in Windows Defender. So yeah, these are the most common things that solve issues when the game is not launching. And these are instructed in RallySimFans Discord. I could actually show that still. Okay, so here we are now. So yeah, here we have the problem solving. Maybe this will be a under different name in the future, who knows, but here we have a list of documented problems and solutions. And as I mentioned about the DEP, also known as data execution prevention, it is explained in here, and also the folder exclusion for Windows security. So these are the first things to do pretty much if the game doesn't launch. And as said in here, if you have any other problems or you can solve them, then use the problem forum for that. And yeah, there's also lots of other questions explained, like if you have any problems mapping the controls and using the gamepads, those are different things. Both PS4, PS5, and Xbox controllers work with RBR. And then we have also some performance tweaking tips here, and about the inverted issues, as I mentioned earlier, and some other things that are quite common in some cases. So yeah, that's pretty much it. And also, actually, I think I could show this as well. So RBR README is another channel with different information. We have the keyboard shortcut guide here as well, which was in the launcher, and some other stuff about base notes and the official game manual, the force feedback sensitivity setting, and tons of other stuff that will help you forward with the RBR. So yes, I think that's all for now, and this method is valid so far in 2024, and maybe this will change in the future, and Maybe the launcher will look a little different. Who knows? There will be updates every now and then. So yeah, don't be confused if something is a little different looking, but this method will be valid until this video is hidden from the public. Thank you and enjoy.